everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the first ever VIMS Virtual Marine Science Day, supported by Dominion Energy. My name is Savannah Mapes. I am a graduate student at VIMS, and I will be your host for this session. At this time, we are happy to have a friend of mine and fellow VIMS graduate student, Kayla, with us to discuss her career path and her role at VIMS. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Well, let's begin this with telling us a little bit about where you went to undergrad.
Yeah, so I went to Northeastern Illinois University. So I went to school in Chicago. So I'm from Chicago, born and raised there. And it was a public school, inner city public school. And I went there and majored in environmental science.
Oh, incredible. And how was that jump from a state school to William & Mary?
It was challenging at first. It was definitely different. So the school I went to was medium sized. So it's like 15,000 students, and we were all commuter students. So there were no dorms there when I was there until the last year. So all the students drove in every day. There were a lot of people that were from all walks of life, different mothers, fathers. I actually met a person that was 94 years old, a woman who wanted to finish her degree because the times had changed and she couldn't go to college when she was younger. So she wanted to finish it, and she did. So I met a lot of, different people. And then I came to William & Mary, and it was what you see kind of in movies, I guess, as portrayed as like what university life is like. But it wasn't as hard as I thought it was gonna be. And I think that has to do with VIMS doing a great job on making that switch as easy and painless as possible and having a lot of resources. So I would say when you're looking at universities, look at that too, the kind of resources that they have for you.
Incredible. Thank you, Kayla. We're getting some questions. And are you here to get your master's degree or your PhD?
I'm here to get my master's degree right now. I am thinking about possibly getting a PhD later down the road in the future. So I'm not opposed to coming back to or going back to school in the future, but right now I'm getting my master's degree.
And what are you here to study?
I am getting a master's in marine science, but I specifically research climate range expansion. So I am looking at the fiddler crab. That is what we call a climate range expander. So that is a species that for some reason their distribution is being expanded or shrunk because of climate change. So this fiddler crab is a marsh crab, and it's now found in northern Maine, or some parts of Maine now, that we've heard of, but the ones I study specifically are in Massachusetts. So it's really cool to see how is this going to impact those salt marshes and places that don't have burrowing crabs like that.
That sounds really exciting. And could you tell us what graduate school is like? Is it mostly classes or research?
I would say the first year is mostly classes. I will say you can change it and fit it how you want. So some people will space out classes evenly or throughout their entire time there. Some people will front load or like do all their classes their first year. That's what I did. So it's really what you feel comfortable with, but I did all my classes my first year, and my second year I had one semester with like maybe 2 classes, and then the rest has been just research. And me personally, I like that just because now I can focus all my time in the research, which is, in my opinion, the most important part of grad school, is getting that experience.
And how do you, as a graduate student, manage your time?
That was something that I came in and it was a learning curve. It's definitely in undergrad, you are given more time management. But when you go to grad school, it's kind of all on you, absolutely all on you. And I actually did pretty well with it. And the way I do it is kind of use calendars a lot. So I use Outlook Calendar a lot with my advisor and my other lab mates. And we kind of all plan out so we can see when we're going out in the field, what research we're doing, do we have classes or stuff, so we know when to contact each other. And it also helps keep us accountable. So I would say when you have a group of people that are also helping you keep yourself accountable, that tends to be good. Also friends can help you keep you accountable. So having that has been very helpful.
That's great advice. We have a pretty popular question, and it's, do you have any advice for an undergraduate finding internships in marine science, especially as a liberal arts student who doesn't take any STEM classes?
Yeah, sure. So I did take STEM classes while I was in undergrad, but I did graduate from a liberal arts school. What I did actually was I sought out internships. So my school did not have a science based department that can help you find those kinds of things. It was kind of all on you. So I would look on USA Jobs. I would look at RUs. So VIMS has an RU, a research experience for undergrads. I did that through NSF, and that was great. And that, I think that is one of the reasons I got to go to grad school, and it also helped solidify my decision in going to grad school. So I would look for programs like that. Volunteer. I volunteered in a lab at my school for 2 years, and getting that experience was great. So it doesn't have to be paid. Any kind of volunteer experience can also help with you with your application. So I would say do anything and everything that you possibly can get your hands on, because it gives you a leg up compared to other people who may have not done that. So even I would say, I won't stress enough, volunteering I think is definitely one of the best first steps you could do, because I know so many people, I ask them, how did you get into science? I was volunteering in a lab in undergrad. That was usually the first thing they were doing. So I would say definitely volunteering.
Absolutely, and I can vouch for that as well. Another question just came in. What advice do you have for an undergraduate senior in marine fisheries who has one semester left but does not know what she wants to do for her career?
If you have one semester left, I would say you can take a year. Take a year and apply to seasonal positions in the government. There are a lot of seasonal positions that are only 6 months. And I know people who have done that and they just continue doing that. And you get hired on and you live somewhere else for 6 months, experience that, and then do a different kind of job, and then another 6 months go somewhere else. And I think those seasonal temporary positions are great. So you can apply to those through USA Jobs, or you could look at through the Forest Service and wildlife, Fish and Wildlife. Like a lot of these places have them. I interned at a prairie. Actually, it was one of my first internships as a wetland restoration worker. And those jobs are great to get experience and also kind of give you an idea if this is something you're interested in or what you want. But I think taking a year to work is absolutely very helpful if you really still need time to figure out what you want to do. And it doesn't hurt your chances of getting into grad school. There are a lot of people who do it.
Tell us a little bit more about your internship. That sounds interesting.
So my first paid internship ever, so I was volunteering in this lab, but my first internship ever was, I got it through HACU, which is the Hispanic Associations of Colleges and Universities. They fund a lot of what they call HIS schools, Hispanics, or HSIs, Hispanic Serving Institutions. So they're like traditional, like the historical Black colleges, but these are for Hispanics. And I went there and they set me up with an internship at a federal internship at a prairie in Wilmington, Illinois. So it's a super small town, about 6 hours away from Chicago, and I had to live there the entire summer. And it was amazing because that was my first time getting exposure to what how a government agency works. And walking into a room where you had a horticulturist, a botanist, a ecologist, a archaeologist, so many different people, policy workers, and all of us going through and being like, this is what we're going to do for the day. And that's what actually motivated me to want to work in government in the future. But that internship was challenging physically because it was hot and it was all labor. I mean, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. It was like all intensive labor. Restoration is no joke. But it was great because I learned a lot and I got I met a lot of amazing people that way.
Amazing. How does someone from a landlocked place like Illinois become
Yeah.
interested in marine science?
So my love for the ocean actually came from, I'm half Puerto Rican, so a lot of my family still lives in Puerto Rico. So I would go very often to Puerto Rico. And just being around the ocean, it was something that I would go from being in a rural area in Puerto Rico and then come back home to like the concrete jungle. And I would always wonder, like, why is it so different? And then also we had Lake Michigan that looks like an ocean, but um, and that curiosity always stayed with me. And then I would go snorkeling and I would see like rays and manatees and all these other things, and it just got me super interested. And it was a passion of mine that I kind of thought to myself, oh well, most people can't become marine biologists. You know, you say you want to be a marine biologist, but you know it's hard to get there. But I finally pursued my passion and decided I was going to try and make it, and I did. So but that's how it started. It was honestly just exposure. But I know a lot of people from landlocked states, you know, you can do it. Again, that's what those jobs and those REUs and those opportunities are for, is to expose you, take you out of where you are.
That's awesome. We just got a really fun question in. What is your favorite fish?
I would say red snapper, just because we eat it a lot. So to eat red snapper, favorite fish in general, I would say a sheephead. I don't know if anyone's seen sheephead, but they look crazy. And if you have time, look it up. And they pretty much look like they have human teeth. So I've seen them in person and I was taken aback by it. So I would say fish-wise, to just look at, sheephead; to eat, red snapper.
Sheepheads are pretty cool to look at.
Yeah.
Back to graduate school questions. Is graduate school expensive? What is the financial differences between undergrad and graduate school?
So graduate school is expensive. Just ticket price, like looking at the price behind the scenes, it is. I was told really good advice by my undergrad advisor that if you are pursuing a degree in science, depending on what it is, but most of the time you shouldn't have to pay for a master's or a PhD. More so for a PhD, master's is a little bit more tricky, but you should try not to pay for it, because there are so many grants and things out there that are now funding STEM, because we have a shortage of people who are actually in the profession. So there's a lot of money being funded into it. So I am fortunate that I currently do not pay for my master's, that it is funded for me through grants and research that I do for these grants. So I am working my way through a master's, like all of us are, where most of us are funded through grants or fellowships that we work and do the work research for, and that's the product. So, but I would strive to not have to pay for a science-based master's or PhD.
Is that the typical situation at VIMS?
Yes, I would say typically I have not met anyone personally that is paying for out of pocket for it. I think if you're doing a marine policy, that's different, but if you're doing a STEM-based degree at VIMS, that's typically the agreement.
Okay, great. And I'm going to say this is our last question. And the question is, how big are the graduate classes?
So I actually came in a small class. Yeah, so I came in a class of, I believe it was like 13, 14 of us, but like 3 or 4 of us were continuing on, as they were master students previously and were continuing on as PhD. So there was like 10 or 11 of us new. But typically they're like 20 people, I believe. That's like the average, the typical number. That is different at all graduate institutions. I think that number definitely fluctuates depending where you go. But at VIMS, it's typically 20 people.
Okay. Well, Kayla, I think that is about all the time we have for now. But thank you so much for being here and helping us learn more about your career path and role at VIMS. It's really been a pleasure. For attendees around the world, please navigate back to the agenda page to access our other great virtual sessions and interviews. You can also browse the extensive collection of resources on the home screen. A big thanks to Dominion Energy for supporting this session. We hope to see you all on campus or virtually here again soon. You'll have a great day.